Hi, I'm Nathan Cruz and welcome once again to Inside the Toy Room. So starting at number 10, and it's X-Men versus Street Fighter, and the particular one is Gambit versus Zangief. Now this is a twin pack. Basically in the 90s, things got a bit cool, strange, whatever you want to interpret it as, between Toy Biz dealing with both X-Men and the Street Fighter franchise. There was of course a game where you could play against both those characters, Marvel versus Capcom. Toy Biz were very smart enough to capitalize on this, and by doing so they released these twin packs. Now to this day, quite rare to come by, but the rarest of all would be this twin pack. It's not something that's in my collection. As you know, I have started getting into the X-Men figures, particularly the Uncanny X-Men from the 90s, based from comic books and cartoons. You can check that episode out right here, and I have since added to that collection, but we'll cover that in a future episode. These twin packs are something that I am purposely staying away from because the cost of these is just ridiculous. I mean, this twin pack in particular, you're looking at around $60–70 US. Now you include import fees on that into the UK, and you know, I'm going to be looking at about 150 for that twin pack. So it's something that I haven't started collecting, and to be honest, I'm going to keep my distance from for that reason. In at number 9 would be the Red Skull Chase from the Marvel Legends collection. Now Marvel Legends is something again that I haven't dove into. In fact, I only have one Marvel Legends figure, and that would be the Thing here, loose, that I just acquired in, I don't even know how I got this thing actually, now I've forgotten. I've had it for so long, but it's just here. But either way, the Marvel Legends series is, you know, an incredible series. In fact, we covered that in the History of Toy Biz video, which you can check out right here. They basically did so well with this collection. The idea of it was to aim it solely at collectors, and of course, kids still wanted some of these action figures as well. But yeah, they went right after the collectors with these ones, and subsequently they've gone into, you know, collection lore on the internet. And this Red Skull Chase variant, it's around $80 that you can find this for, but that's, you know, you'd be on a good day, you'd be finding it for about $80. I've seen these sell for about $100 average price, and again, that's if you can find them. Every year that I have a look at some of the Marvel Legends and consider getting into them, I see the cost price of these just climb and climb and climb. So if you do have any of them, particularly this Red Skull one, hold on to it. In at number 8 would be Mecca Hulk. You hear me right, Mecca Hulk. So you imagine if the Hulk somehow died, I don't know how, but he dies, and then they rebuild him in like with Terminator parts. That's what this action figure is. Again, it was brought to us by Toy Biz. It's really hard to find one that's still in its box. You can find them loose, but even loose, you're still looking at about $100 for this. In its box, get ready for this, $350 is the average asking price for this. And let's face it, it's one of them figures that's so hard to find that it's probably going to keep climbing as the years go on, as I've mentioned about previous figures in other episodes, such as the Small Soldiers episode, for example, which you can also check out right here, and we talk about the cost of those. But yeah, this Mecca Hulk, I mean, it's something that I really do want, but I can't bring myself to pay $350 for it. It looks cool, like it looks so cool, and the idea of like a Terminator Hulk is just brilliant. But yeah, the figure itself is just massive. Like it's a huge piece of plastic. It's got launching missiles. His face just looks intimidating. I mean, you know, the detail on any good Hulk figure will look intimidating and imposing, but even more so when he's equipped with missiles and he's a robot. In at number 7, and sticking with Marvel Legends, a silver variant of Luke Cage. So the Luke Cage figure that originally released with the Marvel Legends never had this silver jacket. And the silver jacket that actually, I mean, this is usually how these things get their value. They'll create like a weird variant and just change one or two small details, and it's that drives up the cost because everybody wants this particular one. And this silver jacket Luke Cage is one of them. In its box, you can find this for around $300 to $400 because again, it's so hard to come by. Selling loose, again, you're looking at about $100, but it depends on what type of collector you are and how badly you want this. It's one of them that, again, I haven't dove into Marvel Legends, but if I ever was to, you know, this would be one that I'd be breaking the bank on, because it's so hard to find. And again, the detail on the Marvel Legends figures are so good anyway. Yeah, it's just an amazing collector's item. So here we are, number 6, and we're going all the way back to 1984, and we're going to look at a Marvel figure way before Toy Biz got involved. In fact, it was Mattel that was producing the figures back then. What we have is a Secret Wars Wolverine, but with black claws. Again, what I said about variants. So obviously Wolverine traditionally has silver claws that come out because they're made of adamantium. That's basically the figure that they released for the Secret Wars, but there is a variant where he has these black claws, and it's so hard to come by this figure. So much so that doing my research for this episode, I was finding it incredibly difficult to even find a loose figure of this. To find one carded, just I couldn't find one. What I did find was a forum where people have discussed how much, you know, this had previously paid for. Strap yourself in for this, because these are only 3.5 figures. $500 someone last paid for this in its box. That's it's a high asking price for a small piece of plastic, but obviously, you know, I completely get it, because I mean, just look around. In at number 5 would be Diamond Select Toys version of The Watcher. Now, The Watcher is a character within the Marvel Universe that just watches on what's going on. Doesn't get involved necessarily unless, you know, things are really going wrong. He originally is part of the Fantastic Four storyline and has bled into different aspects of the Marvel Universe as it's gone on. And Diamond Select released this as a 9-inch figure. Originally they didn't produce that many pieces of it, so obviously to collectors, they've been screaming out for like more releases of this so that they can get their hands on one. But the last asking price for this was around $270 on card. But because there is such a limited amount of these, the value of these is climbing so much, because as I said, fans are constantly asking for more of these action figures from Diamond Select Toys, and you know, they're doing a very smart thing of not producing that many so that these become, you know, sought after items within the collector's world. So it doesn't have such a high value yet as say the Wolverine that we just spoke about, but given the next 5-6 years time, that figure's gonna climb. In number 4, and it's Marvel Legends again. In their 6th series, they released Cable. Everybody knows Cable having this iconic yellowy type of armour. Well, they actually released a variant where he's in a brown armour. It looks more realistic. You'd imagine if they was to do Cable in a film of his own and give him a more realistic tone, this would be the look that he would have. The figure is incredibly detailed, as most of the Marvel Legends figures are. This one in particular just looks so cool because of the brown. I don't know what it is about it, but it does add something to it. The collectors are just scrambling for this to try and add to their collection. The last recorded sale of one of these in card, on box, whatever you want to call it, was $400. But this was 3 years ago. Since then, I mean, again, there may be somebody out there who has bought one from a collector's shop but have just not recorded that online. But yeah, 3 years ago one was sold. It pulled in $400. So yeah, I can only imagine 3 years on that we're going to be looking at a good $500 to $600 for this mint in box. That's if you can still get one in the box. So we're into the top 3, and it was about time that Hot Toys made an appearance here. Hot Toys are known amongst the collecting community to having these extremely detailed. They look exactly like the actors portraying them. So, you know, Michael Keaton, Batman, Captain America, whatever it may be. So in this instance, we're actually taking a look at the Iron Man MK6 Joint Promo Edition. Hot Toys only produced 16 of these figures. So basically, if you're going to own one, you may as well have Tony Stark's bank account as well, because the average asking price for this is $10,000. You will never see that featured inside this toy room. In at number 2, and it's Marvel Legends again, and it's a Crimson Dawn variant of Psylocke. Psylocke is such a rare character, and like, if you've read the comics, you probably don't really know much about her. In fact, I could probably count on one hand the amount of comics I've actually read with her in, because I'm not such a die-hard Marvel fan as I am a DC fan. This variant of her can pull in around $2,500 and upwards. So the markup isn't as high as the previously mentioned Hot Toys Tony Stark, but Hot Toys have a high starting price anyways for their action figures. To say that this action figure would have once been sold for around $15 and now its markup is as high as it is exceptional. Within the toy collecting community, there's very few that you can actually find. I know people who have actually gone to conventions to hunt a lot of these Marvel Legends figures down, and this is one that, you know, they just don't even know actually exists. They may have seen it on the back of a box, but the variant isn't, as far as I'm aware, isn't produced on the back of the box. So it'll be one of them that you just may accidentally come across. So if anybody actually has that Crimson Dawn variant, let us know in the comment section below, because I'm interested to know where you got it from and how much you may have originally paid for it, unless you got it recently, and if so, let us know how, you know, how you able to afford a figure like that. And in at number 1, again, it's Marvel Legends Series 16, the same as our previous entry, but it's the blue Wasp variant. So the character Wasp basically got a wardrobe change and got a makeover, and these are so hard to find. It'd be like finding a needle in a haystack to try and find one of these. Like, they are so rare and so sought after that they pull in around $20,000. That's more than any Hot Toy, and like I said, Hot Toy may have a high markup to begin with, but Marvel Legends never necessarily did. I think this would have originally sold for around $25 to $30, depending on where you got it from. But yeah, this one in particular has just skyrocketed. Now, what makes this particular figure so rare and kind of unique is that it was never released in a Western market. Interesting to say that Marvel began in the Western market, right? But it was never released over here, so therefore it's become ultra rare. And you know, if anybody does own one, I mean, they're probably sat on a throne amongst collectors with, you know, little nerds like me just skimming around at the feet, worshipping them. Thanks very much for checking this video out. I hope you enjoyed this top 10 list. Is there any that we missed out that you consider to be even rare than any of the ones that we mentioned? Let us know in the comment section below. Make sure you subscribe to this video, give us a little thumbs up, share it out with your friends, hit the little bell so you're notified every time we upload a new video, as we re-upload every single week here on Inside the Toy Room. And some cool outro. There you go. Play that music that we do 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 do.